Thank you for joining today's session on creating lists, creating a task tracker with Microsoft Lists. Um, we're going to show you how to quickly create a customizable task tracker using Microsoft Lists. We're going to go in and we're going to do a Power Automate that notifies people who are assigned tasks in an email. And we'll do that with Power Automate. And we're going to throw in a couple tricks out of the hat. And we're going to throw a little bit of JSON into the form to make it custom. And excuse me, before everybody logs off and says, I don't want to do anything with code, let me tell you, it's really easy. You're not going to have to write a bit of code. Let's get started. One more time on the microphones. All right. So I'm going to start from a SharePoint list or a SharePoint site. And from there, I'm going to go over here to this waffle icon. I'm going to go down to Microsoft Lists. If you don't see Microsoft Lists when you hit that icon up there, go to All Apps. And from there, you'll be able to see them, see lists alphabetically. So I'm going to go ahead and hit List. And you'll see I have quite a few lists here, but we're gonna do a new list. I'll click New List, and you'll see a couple things on this. When you click on New List, one is a blank list, and that's exactly what it means. It means I'm going to start from scratch. Just so happens we don't have to start entirely from scratch this morning. We're going to use one of the templates below, and then we're going to customize it. But you can also create a list from Excel or from an existing list that you have. So let's go ahead and let's look at which template. That sounds interesting, pretty close. But I'm going to choose the work progress tracker. And when you choose a template, you're going to see an example of what that template looks like. And we have work item, description, category, progress, priority. Let's see how that compares to the issue tracker. Issue description, and date reported. Let's go down and let's use work progress. I'm going to use the template. I am going to do let's name it. I can do a description if I want. Let's change the color, and target's just fine. Now, this is the important part. If you choose the default setting, it will save to your lists that are located in SharePoint sites or in a team, a SharePoint site under a team. I would suggest as a best practice to always try to do that. Otherwise, it's going to save in your OneDrive. So if you intend to use it for anything other than yourself, you want to save it outside OneDrive. And in this case, I'm going to choose the toolbox. And I'm not going to show it. Well, yeah, let's leave that. and let's create it. All right, that was fast. Now we have some fields to work with here. But let's do some customization of the fields. First of all, let's makes it easier if we put a little bit of test information in there. I hit new and the list form pops up, and one and category, and I may not like those, but I'll show you what to do about those. Progress, let's set a priority. I like having the priority, so let's do that. Start date, we're gonna go ahead and start that tomorrow, and we're gonna leave the due date empty, and I'm gonna assign it to myself. Notes, and I can add attachments. So we've got a real quick test item here. Now, one thing to mention on this list here, this is actually tied to a SQL database. So it can do a lot of things once you start tracking information. We have some organizations, some divisions, some teams that are using this tool and customizing it, and they have over 5,000 or more items, and they're able to track so many things in there. So before we jump into the design, let's show you really quick what I'm talking about. And let's jump over here to the DIT intranet, and let's go to site request system and request a new site or team, and you'll see the blank form. You notice the purple is primarily the lists color. Let's cancel so we can get back in the back end, and you'll see I have a report view for action required. I can go to all items. So this is what I mean, that you can really customize everything. So let's get back to our task tracker, and let's see what we can do. Work item. Let's change that. I'm going to do the drop down. I am going to go to column settings. Going to do rename. Save that. Renamed it to task. That makes more sense. We'll keep the description. Category. Go to edit. You notice when I go to edit, we got a little slide out. And I am going to change the word category to type. Leave it at choice. Planning, design, engineering. Let's change that. Marketing, we don't need marketing. Let's get rid of that. And let's do, actually, let's go ahead and get rid of that one. I like the research. Proof of concept design. I want to change the color here on this one. Hit that. Notice planning, a little dark. And let's do light blue. For now, that looks like it's pretty good. I'm going to look at default manual value, in this case, none. Yeah, let's add one. All right. Choice 5, new task. That's going to be a bright green. And let's go down here, and now we want a default. So every time I fill out this form, it's going to start out as a new task. Now, what happens when you have a task is that you have it in progress and things like that. Over here, you'll notice there's another there's another column, status, and we're going to change that. So let's just save this one. Saved it. Close it. Right. Now let's look at the progress and let's edit that. And not started. Let's leave that yellow and progress. That's okay. Blue, completed, green, blocked. I never use block. Let's go behind, but behind needs to be a red and a bright red at that. Let's save. Let's look at that one more time, and let's see if we can format that column. Do some additional formatting. And no, let's not do that. Let's go to choice. It's a lot easier. It keeps all my colors. And edit. I think that's good. All right, let's go to priority. Edit once again. We have critical, high, medium, low. And that looks good for right now. Let's go ahead and save it. Format it. Do that. Here we go. Thank you very much. All right, add a rule. If sample text is is equal to high, then what we want to do, if it's equal to high, I want to really draw some attention to it. So let's do red. And that's going to go all the way across. Let's add another one. If priority 4, priority is equal to low, going to change that to blue. All right. Now let's try something else with it. That's good. Start date, due date, assigned to, notes. All right. So we've customized the columns a little bit. You can see there's a lot of different things that you can do. So the best thing for you to do is try to do a test list and then play with all these little options that you have. But we're going to move on. We've got about 15 minutes. So let's move on and let's customize that form. So to customize the form, you'll notice that every time you do a list with Microsoft Lister and SharePoint, that no matter what, it's always a single column, and that looks kind of it looks okay, but I want it to look a little bit more professional. I don't want to have to use something like Power Apps. So you notice when I hit New, I've got this little section up here that says Edit Form, and I'm going to go to Configure Layout, and you'll see it's a header. Now, don't panic. This is the JSON part, and there are a lot of people out there that are actually customizing these forms, and they're very happy to share their code with you. So you don't have to use this. This is what I call Visual Studio Code. You can use your text editor. What you can't do is use something like OneNote to save your JSON that you got from some training or somebody who's out there sharing their code. You can't do it with OneNote and some of the other like Word, because when you copy and paste, it there's something in the background that doesn't work really well. So just a plain old text editor is fine. You don't have to use this. And this, I've got mine saved. I've got header and I've got body, and that's all we're going to use for right now. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to copy everything here. And Command C. I'm going to jump back over here. I want to paste this code. And let's preview it. And that gave us solid color. I don't think I like that. So let's get rid of that. Let's go back to my code again. And you can reuse this as much as you want. Let's go to one. Go that one. Let's copy it. And you see what I'm doing basically is reverse engineering something, using this code as a template. So copy that. Let's go there. Let's preview it. All right, now it says PTA. What are we going to do about that? Well, that's pretty easy. I'm going to go down here, find where it says, and I'm going to change it. And we're going to have to change that PTA status there. And just status is the default. Let's preview it again. Notice how it changes. And let's save. Now let's try a new one. There we go. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to change the body up. I don't like that single. So let's go to configure layout again. Let's go to the body. And let's go to my saved JSON that I use as a template. And let's use the wrap body. Look how simple that is. And I'm going to pick that. And let's go over here. Let's hit this. And hit preview. Don't forget that one doesn't do a preview very well. Save. New. And you'll notice that now I have two columns. Now these columns are responsive. And what that means is that these forms that you create, even with the customization, they will expand or retract based on what device you're using and what resolution. So on a phone, for example, you're going to see the single column. On a tablet or small laptop, you're going to see also you're going to see the just a couple columns. If you have this popped up on a monitor, it can go out, 4 columns. The nice thing about it is, especially with the long form, it shortens it up quite a bit. So I can just jump in here and it's task, another one. And let's go category and planning, progress, not started, priority high, and date today. Back to myself. There we go. I'm going to hit save. And now I've got 2. Now I can go back to this one, click on that. And another cool thing about this is you can send emails based on the status to your teammates. And I'm going to send a message to Karen Mann, do the @ symbol, and you can actually do find juice to me. So I'm going to type in her last name and I'm going to say the test. But I can type in anything I want. I can say, hey, look at this. We're getting behind on this. Any message you want. And then you hit that. That'll keep it in the record. And it will send an email that with a link that'll bring them right back to this task. Let's go ahead and close that. And let's change that from not started to in progress. And you notice how I can click on a field and I can save them immediately, or I can hit edit all. And if you have a lot of workflows using Power Automate, ideally you want to hit edit all, because if you don't and you start editing one field at a time and your workflows are set to trigger when something changes, it's going to trigger a workflow every single time. So if I have multiple workflows, that's what I do. I try to train people to hit edit all. And then when you're done with the fields, then you just hit save. But in this case, the only thing we're going to do this morning is we're going to jump in here and we're going to show you how to do a Power Automate with this. I am going to go to rules, create a rule. A new item is created. Send an email to line 2. Look how easy that is. I bet you thought I was going to get into that Power Automate, whole Power Automate thing. I can, but the rules are an amazing thing to help you do something really quick. So when a new item is created, send an email to assign to, and there it is. Now, let's go actually try the Power Automate. Go back to SharePoint page, go to Power Automate, there you are. And quick note on this is that, again, if you, just like where you put your list, if you put your list in OneDrive and your list is primarily for you to track your own tasks, it's perfectly okay to just click on this, go to Power Automate, and create a workflow. Now, if you're going to develop this for your team, ideally what you should do, and I emphasize very strongly should, is to create your workflows using a service account. And here's the reason for that is right here, I'm in my flows, and let's say I move to another agency. Well, my flows are tied to me. This is very, very important. And once I move, if I don't share my flows or turn over ownership to a team, those flows are just going to stop working at some point, and they'll have to be completely rewritten. I don't like to do all that work. So if you're going to do something for production, for a group, always remember that either one of two things. use a service account to develop your flows, or when you create them, you want to move them or share them with a Microsoft team. And that way, everybody in the team can work with those flows even after you leave. So that's really important. In this case, this is just mine. I'm going to go into my flows real quick and click new flow. Going to do an automated cloud flow and remind everybody while I'm doing this that this is recorded, and you'll be able to come back. Also, I want to remind you that you can get a hold of me on Teams anytime, and we can actually do a little session on this, about an hour session, half hour, whatever you want. And let's do a quick item, and let's find the SharePoint file. When an item is created, that's when I want to notify somebody. And let's go to site address. Remember, I put that in toolbox, I mean. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. Test tracker in 30 minutes. Advanced options just allows you to use different views. And I'm going to simply send an email. And there are two items in here for email. One says mail, as you can see here. That's not the one you want to use. You want to use Outlook, Office 365, and send an email. And it's creating. There we go. And two, add dynamic, assign to, new task. Just want to tell somebody that there's a new task there. And if I want to, I can go in here and BCC myself. Get out of my way here. There we go. It finds me. Now all I got to do is save. There we go. When I see green, that's good. So now we've created a task tracker. We've also customized the form. We've customized the columns and the fields. And we did a really quick down and dirty notification in Power Automate, which you can do either by using rules or go straight to Power Automate. So I appreciate so much everybody coming online today. See this. Honestly, get in there with Microsoft Lists, because you can take anything that you're doing in a spreadsheet or by paper or by another method, and using SharePoint, Microsoft Lists, and list forms and Power Automate, you can completely digitize your process and make it easier for everybody to follow.